Today we'll cover the Minibike in 7 Days to Die, how to learn the skill, how to craft it, and how to assemble it, and how to manage if you simply cannot find that blasted Minibike for dumb shits book, no matter how hard you try. As with most things, there are ways to get around it, but let's start with the crafting. You need a number of different parts to assemble the Minibike. Some of them you need to find, but some of them you can craft. The 3 parts that you can craft yourself are the chassis, the Minibike handlebars, and the Minibike seat. All require you to have read the Minibike for Dumb Shits book. The book can be found in loot or at the traders, but you need to be a bit lucky, because if you don't have the RNG gods on your side, you simply won't find it. So if you run across it at the traders, then do buy it. Beyond the craftable parts, you also need an engine, battery, and tires. These can be looted and scavenged, and we'll get to that in a bit. Finally, you have the 2 optional parts, which are the Minibike basket and the lock. These can also be looted and scavenged. Let's start with the chassis, which is the placeable entity that you put down and mount the remaining components on. So let's go to the forge and type in chassis. The chassis basically takes 200 iron and 20 clay. It does require an anvil, and you need to have read the book, which I haven't here. Fortunately, I've managed to pick up a copy of the Minibike book, the 2017 revision, in my local trash pile, so I can read it. And now with that one, if I go back, I can actually craft it. It's going to take some time, and the quality of the Minibike parts is based on your science skill. So if you want to have higher quality, you bump it up. So with the chassis completed, let's pick it up and put it in our hotbar. When I move around, you'll see the chassis outline for where you can place it. Green means a valid place, red means incorrect placement. If you can't get a green outline, try somewhere else. It is a known issue that sometimes it becomes difficult to place it down. I've had times where I don't get any outline and I have to, run around to try to find a green one. But, there are going to be places to put it down, so just keep trying. To get it down, you basically right-click and it's set. Now we have to craft the Minibike handlebars. However, to make those, we first need to craft the basic handlebars. And these take 2 duct tape, 2 leather, 1 mechanical part, and 6 iron pipes. And it's made in the workbench. For the handlebars, you don't actually need to have read any book. And this is because the same handlebars is actually also used in the chainsaw and the auger. So let's get the handlebars here. Now that we have the handlebars, we need to craft the Minibike handlebars. And this requires the handlebars that we just crafted, 2 duct tape, 1 headlight, 5 electrical parts, and 2 short iron pipes. So where do you get the headlight from? Well, you basically wrench cars. You wrench enough cars, you'll get quite a few of the headlights, so that should be pretty easy to get. Let's go back to the workbench, and you'll see now I can craft the Minibike handlebars. And let's grab it as well. So now we have the Minibike handlebars. For the third craftable, which is the Minibike seat, we need 4 duct tape, 7 leather, 3 cotton, and 4 short iron pipes. Again, it's being made in the workbench. The Minibike seat. So let's craft it here, and it just takes a few seconds. So now that we have these parts, we're going to move over to the Minibike. As you hover over it, you see it says hold E to interact with the Minibike. So hold E and you'll see 2 icons. The bottom one is to take it, and that's how you pick it up. So let's place it down again. The top one is to access the Minibike screen. Here you can see the basics. You have the quality, you have the durability, and again that depends on the quality and how good the different parts are. You have a list of the components, and they're grayed out if you haven't been mounting them yet. You have the storage space that only opens up when you put in the Minibike basket, and that one is missing. We also have some basic statistics such as the speed, the noise, the defense, seats, and gas. Seats is always going to be 1 in Alpha 16 and previous. Alpha 17 and onwards, there are thoughts, I believe, of creating multi-seat vehicles. So I guess that's when you're going to see seats of 2 or plus. The gas, it's empty for now. There's also a repair button down here, easy to miss. You use that one to repair it if you damage it. It's quite a durable mini bike. You know, you can jump off cliffs and you're likely to kill yourself before you destroy the mini bike. But if the zombies beat on it or you beat on yourself, it can end up being damaged. To mount the handlebars and the seat, you can either drag and drop them, and let's put them down here, or you can shift click the item and it'll pop into place. And the same goes for if you want to remove them. You shift click or you can basically pull them. As we put them in, you'll see that the actual entity gets updated both here and on the road side that I put it down. So now we have the three basic parts, but we also need an engine and we need a battery. And this one can be found in loot or bought at traders. The best way, however, is to go out and wrench cars. Batteries and engines drop from the second quality car, so it's not going to be dropping directly from this nice green one because it's mostly undamaged, but it drops from the car that is slightly more damaged, and you'll see it's missing one of the car doors, and you know it's obviously been a bit wrecked. So if you really want to speed up finding the batteries and the engines, you just start wrenching these ones. Obviously, if you wrench the nice car, it will turn into the not so nice car after the first iteration. So once we have these items, and I picked up a couple into my inventory, we access the minibike again. And now you'll see that actually there's one extra item here. Well, two extra. You can't pick it up anymore because I've mounted some items. You can, however, honk. You can drive it, which allows you to step on, but obviously without the rest of the components, it's not going anywhere. So let's access the inventory again. Let's put in the car battery. The battery is used for the headlight. So the bigger battery, the longer the headlight can be sustained. It's generally not an issue because as you drive, it will keep recharging the battery. We have the engine, and if you look up on the speed, you'll see that as I plop it in, it goes up to 16 meters per second, and that's a fast. And that really depends on the quality of the engine. If you have a poor quality, it's not going to be very fast, but if you get into purple on the higher one, it's going to be quite a fast one. So if you want to have a good mini bike, make sure you have a good engine. But we're missing some more parts. We need tires. And you've probably seen the tires around the world. Maybe you've noticed them, maybe you haven't cared, but you'll see them here. So how do you pick them up? I mean, there's no E or anything. Well, it's pretty easy. You just start bashing them. So that's two. If you see the bottom right, I picked up some mini bike wheels. So you just go around bashing them and eventually you'll pick up. And if you want to have good ones, you just keep on bashing. And actually, for added benefit, you can actually sell them at the traders for a fairly high price. So that's an easy way to make some cash. So let's put them on here. Let's go back into and shift click. We also want to have a mini bike basket. And you can find this through loot, and you can even pick it up in some locations. But one of the easiest way is basically just to look for the shopping baskets. You see, I can't pick it up. But if I start wrenching it, at the end of the wrenching, as you'll see here, I end up with a mini bike. Well, actual shopping basket. And I go back to the bike, and I can put it in. And as you see, as I put it in, the storage opens up. And that is very useful because your own inventory obviously tends to fill up very fast. Having a mini bike basically gives you an extra 3x6, 18 slots of inventory to put things in. And that's great if you're driving around looting. So the final item, and again, this is very optional, and that's the lock. For single player games, it doesn't really matter because no one is going to be stealing your mini bike. For multiplayer, it allows you to lock your bike so that friends or foes can't access it, they can't steal your loot, and they can't drive off with your mini bike by accident or on purpose. There are ways around that as well. If you find a mini bike which is locked, you can actually bash it down until the lock becomes non-functional. Then you can access it, remove the lock, and repair the mini bike. But, you know, at least that takes some time. So let's go back to the bike and put it in. If I now hold E to interact, you'll see the icons on the radial menu are being expanded. You can enter a code to lock it and unlock it, and you can refuel it. And of course you have the inventory, you have the drive, and you have the honking the horn. So we're now pretty ready to go. So you can refuel either from here, but I like to do it from the main screen because you can actually see how much gas you put in. So every time I put in gas, you'll see it goes up until I have no more gas, and of course you lose it. So now it's 52%. So how do you get on it? Well, you basically just hit E, and that drops you into third-person view. It has the battery, fuel, and health point indicators on the bottom right. You use WASD to go forward, backwards, steer left and right. If you want to have some fun with your friends, you hit X in order to honk the horn. You can also hit F to turn on the headlights. And it's actually a very strong headlight. Compared to, say, the mobile spotlight or the mining helmet, the Minibike headlight is one of the most powerful lights that exist in the game. So again, I'm just going forward here with W and S for backing up, and I'm turning left and right. To get off, you hit E again. So that's pretty simple. So the Minibike is very sturdy, but you're not. You can drive off high cliffs, but you will damage yourself, and you'll damage the bike a bit. So make sure that if you end up damaging the bike too much, repair it. Don't have problems by having a broken bike. Another thing to be careful about is don't drive into water. Don't drive onto spikes. There's also times if you open doors or garage doors onto it, the actual Minibike entity might take damage and might end up being destroyed, which means that it'll be standing around, but you won't be able to access it. Again, there are some ways around that sometimes as well. If you quit the game, restart, sometimes there exists sort of a grace period where you can still access the Minibike and pick up the inventory, pick up the different parts. But in general, just avoid driving into spikes. So what do you do if you simply cannot find the book? You can't find it in loot, you can't find it at the traders. Well, fortunately, with a bit of extra luck and perseverance, you can work around that. If you notice from what we did, the only 3 items that we cannot craft without reading the book is the chassis, the seat, and the handlebars. Everything else you had to wrench, scavenge, and loot. But the good news is that the chassis, seat, and handlebars can actually be found in loot as well. The utility worker and the biker can drop them, and the car parts crate can also come with both. So it's pretty good to go and kill the utility worker and the biker, and as you might just be lucky. Or if you're lucky, you can also find them at the traders. So if you don't have the book, look at the traders and try to find these 3 parts. You can then assemble the Minibike without even having to read the book. Some POIs have a much higher chance of spawning the utility worker and the biker, such as the construction site, the oil refinery, or the biker bar. So hitting these ones and killing the relevant zombies can give you an increased chance of finding the items. I've had that issue in the past where I simply could not find the book, and the days went by, and it's quite an inconvenience to be running around all the time. But I managed to scavenge and loot one of the parts and bought the remaining 2 parts, and that allowed me to assemble the Minibike. So I can't craft new ones, but at least I can assemble it if I can find or buy the items. So I hope you found this helpful. While experienced players surely have assembled the Minibike many times over multiple game worlds, for new players it's not entirely self-evident of what to do, and it's quite a game changer to have a Minibike that you can drive around with. You can drive away and outdrive the zombies, but it also gives you extra space for when you're looting. So it allows you to go back and forth from your POIs that you're looting and to your base to drop off everything. So do subscribe to be notified of my new videos if you enjoy it. To round off, if you've seen Madmole's A17 upcoming videos, you've seen him talk of the new vehicle physics. You've seen him talk of the bicycles, new cars, and the new motorcycle. What are your thoughts? Is it game-changing and a great addition, or is it not really too important the way you're playing the game? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that, it's time to get indoors to safety.